Hey guys, welcome to the Heart of David. Hope you guys are all doing well. Now, this might interest you, and to be honest, although I talk about a lot of late, talking about things like Donald Trump and how him as 45th president and 47th, you add those together, it's 9/11. I don't usually do these, but I'll tell you how this all began. I'll just get right at this. Okay, this is about just what does 9/11 mean? In my own studies, when I started to get into the Bible, I started to study the Vatican. What's going on with this? This is all a lie. This is how you fall into the truth, right? All the lies that the Catholic system is. Not to say there aren't believers and people who will be saved. There will be some who are saved if they really find the truth, faith in Christ. In any case, looking through videos and doing my own investigations, I saw that, this Freemasonry stuff and how some of the buildings of the Vatican, old buildings, have the Roman numeral IX, which is 9/11. Why? Why is this so? And why does it have such a significance? Why does this keep appearing? I don't believe those things, like that much repetition is a coincidence. Not at all. And I'll do my best. I didn't plan on making this video. I went on a walk out in a whole lot of snow out there, my second walk of today. And I thought to myself, maybe because of a video I saw just before I left to go for that walk. In any case, I'm like, time to find out what it means in the occult, and it brought me here. But first, I'm going to explain something to you, and I'm going to go back to 2001, and I'll explain. Okay, so this is my first time reading this website, just like you. I read it over quickly, so pretty much, and I believe what it says. Okay, I mean, it might need some further investigation, but I've heard a lot about this over the years, bits and here and there. I try to be very careful to get into stuff like that. So, how old was I? 8? I was 22. I was 22 years old in my 23rd year, though. I was sleeping, and it was in the morning. And my brother closest in age to me, I have a few older brothers, he woke me up, and he said, "Come downstairs, you got to see this." I don't like being woken up, but I got up pretty quickly. I went downstairs, and I saw I think, to tell you the truth, I can't remember. Certainly one of the towers had already been struck. The Pentagon hadn't, I don't think. But in any case, they were replaying it over and over and over again. And I'm not going to stay in this long. I'm going to go back to that site, but I want to tell you this. I mean, it was pretty shocking for the West, for the world, for that matter, because you knew something was going to come after that. And by the way, through all these tariff threats, we fought for you, America. We fought for you, U.S. And we would again. Well, depending on what, but in any case, I found something that very day. This is how I felt right away. I have good discernment. I had good discernment then. just not the same as today, not the same type, but it was the other building, right? It was that other building. We're talking like, and don't take me for the exact nature. It was like a 50-story building, a big building, and it was, what was it? It was hundreds of feet away. I don't know, it could have been further, but it was far enough away from those two towers. No building should have ever fallen. You know what I'm talking about, right? There was no proof that there was like I mean, even if it was a fire, it shouldn't collapse anyways. It collapsed just like paper cards. What they do is, if it was purposeful, they're gonna make it seem like you're an idiot for even talking about it, and that's what happened. So I'm just gonna go to the site. I'm gonna read what it says. So the 9/11 appears many different times, many different parts of all our society, if you only look. It's very coincidental that, in my study of the Antichrist, 45 and 47, so 4 plus 5 is 9, so Trump's first term as 45th president, that's 9. And then 7 plus 4, 11, 9/11. Crazy, eh? And so you look at that and you say, it's the emergency number, right? The 911. Let's look further to see just how deep this goes. I ask you to do just this. Type up Donald Trump making Freemason sign. Number 1, he goes like this. He does this, okay? You understand what that means? 666. This is a 6, and repeated 1, 2, 3 times. 666. See him always do that, and then he does this, right? When he's sitting down in a chair with another leader, he's always doing that. His son was just caught doing that. He did it on purpose, obviously. Eric Trump, go look for that. They all do it. All Hollywood does it. So it's not a conspiracy, and they all do the all-seeing eye, right? They all do that. They all show up with these strange things in the horror of Hollywood, right? So let's read what this thing is telling us. If I forget to, I'm eating my dinner here, eh? So sometimes when I eat at the beginning, waiting for my antispasmodic to work, that's why I can't speak the best in the beginning. It gets better after about a half hour. So, because I'm not going to edit this, maybe the end of the night tonight, but probably tomorrow. You can see the address here, okay? Just go type that in. I'll try to put it in if I remember. Spirit, please let me remember. So let's go here. So we know there's an Illuminati. We can see it in Hollywood. They all make that, and a lot of politicians do around the world. I do believe there's a revealing happening right now. Remember, we're starting to speed through the birth pains. The Illuminati ritual significance of the number 11. So, World Trade Center, Terror 9/11. Guys, I'm not suicidal. I'm not even joking. I'm not. So, you know why I'm saying that, right? It was clear that something of enormous magnitude was being... He's angry. He's angry because I put him in his cage. It was clear that I got a dwarf rabbit. I give him a lot of time out. It was clear that something of enormous magnitude was being orchestrated that would so devastate the collective human and mind with fear, horror, insecurity, that solutions could be offered that would, right? Hegelian dialect, problem solution. And I'm not saying I endorse, I'm showing you the proof is down here. The Illuminati agenda and a colossal leap. Yes, I do believe there is. But what's in here, I don't know. and a colossal leap almost overnight, right? It was. This is what we saw in America on the ritually significant 11th day of the 9th month. 9/11 is the number for emergencies in the States. Ritual and esoteric codes are at the heart of everything the Illuminati undertakes. That was David Icke. I like David Icke, actually. He's pretty intelligent and he explains things very well. Alice in Wonderland and the World Trade Center disaster. So, whoever's doing this, I don't know. In any case, I don't want to move around either. Let me just state right off that it's not my intention to trivialize the events of 9/11. Me neither. What happened was a disaster of incomprehensible proportions, and I pray for the victims and their families. I remember seeing the picture of the guy, it was like a diamond, his legs, and he was like, he had to jump out. So, is this a coincidence? Let's take a look at the coincidences. What I'd like to bring to your attention is the occurrence of the number 11 surrounding the events of 9/11. I mean, it's so overwhelming, guys. That's why I decided to do this. Number 1, the date of the attack itself is the first clue, 9/11. And the digits together, 911, and you also have 11. September 11th is the 254th day of the year. 254 equals 11. Now, I just went and did this video. If someone went through all this trouble, I'm guessing it is right. I'm going to have to look, so don't take me for this. Like I said, I've heard a lot of these things, so that's why I decided to do it over the years. After September 11th, there are 111 days left to the end of the year. Right there, that's got to be already like what's going on. The Twin Towers standing side by side looks like the number 11. I agree. Very tall towers. Just like... The first plane to hit the towers was Flight 11. Flight 11 had 92 on board. 9 plus 2 equals 11. New York City, 11 letters. The Pentagon, of which it hit next, 11 letters. George W. Bush, 11 letters, who was the president at the time. Colin Powell, who was the colonel, I guess you would consider him a leader towards what they were going to do. In any case, it's not always a general who leads things. Colin Powell, 11 letters. Afghanistan, 11. Ramzi Youssef, 11. So I don't know about these ones, but look, Flight 175, there were 65 on board. 6 plus 5 is 11. Flight 77, 11 times 7, so I don't know. I'm just going to say straight out, if those are all true, which I can't see them not being, and I know some of those to be true for sure, that's insane. That's set up, man. If that's all true, that's set up. You know what the thing is? Here's the thing that is so frustrating, so almost infuriating, that when you show overwhelming proof, whether scriptural or something like this, they may be like, like Jesus says, when he sows the seed on the ground and some, immediately had, accepted it with joy, but then the sun came and, and withered them away, the devil. Well, it's almost like that. They accept it, but they willingly forget it because they don't have the time to say, there is a God. What's going on here? And I don't know. My guess is maybe these people are Christians who are doing this. The above was compelled from a few sources. An email sent to a list, Cutting Edge Ministries, and a few others of my own observations. If in fact this disaster was an Illuminati inside job, then so let's talk about what benefits they would get from it. And these number 11 coincidences have to have a deeper meaning to those who know. I decided to find out for myself. I am not going through the whole thing. I will leave this. I'll try to leave it. Just let me catch my breath. I can't tell you how. Oh, I just wanted to say, by the way, if someone, I just got a message saying that someone was really praying for me for my back, or just for me in general. I just want to say thank you. It has helped. I lost what I was going to say. In the occult, the number 11 has special significance. In numerology, it's a master number, meaning that it is not reduced to a single digit. It's a power number, as is 22, 33, like 44, 55, 66, 77. No, I was kidding. 333. Don't look into those angel numbers if you're watching me. They don't mean anything. I mean, if you see like a 333 or something like that, or like, I can understand 3. But all the rest are just, they're demonic. Angel numbers are satanic. They mean nothing. The number 11 represents the vision. The number 22 combines vision with action. The number 33 offers guidance to the world. The master numbers 11, 22, and 33 represent a triangle. Maybe that's why they make the triangle. A triangle of enlightenment or illumination. I'm not going to go in there right now. There's the triangle, 11, 33, 22. If you look at George Bush's birth date, July 6, 1946, 2 years after my dad's birthday, it's reduced to the power number 33. 7646, 76. Listen, I can't, but I'll read it. Equals 13. Well, I'm going to just, you guys just read this on the screen. George Bush is a member of the Illuminati, Skull and Bones. I believe that. I believe all of them are. Just like Daddy Dearest and Granddaddy before him. Can you remember George Bush Sr.? Go look up the video. A New World Order, he says. So, and I'll tell you what I think just in a second here about what the point is. Just like Daddy Dearest and Granddaddy before him, 33. The highest degree one could attain in Freemasonry. Seems old W is a master in more ways than just the President of the States. I'll show later on that the letters in his name adds up to the master number 11. First, let's look at what else the occult has to say about its master number. First, all of those. There's about 12 of them. It's probably 11. In any case, what do I think that they would get out of doing those towers? A reset. A global reset. Have everyone come together, like a NATO style thing. Military complex. I believe they said by the end of, from the time they started, they invaded till the time they pulled out, how much money was spent. It's an astronomical number. Infinity. It was like $22 trillion. $22 trillion. Can you imagine? That is 22 years of the American military budget. Where do you think all that money went? That's why we have so many rich people today. Certainly part of it. What else would they get out of it? Well, they could make all their, scare people with all these theories and stuff, and stir up the Illuminati, and well, maybe they wanted to start wars, and they certainly did. They sure stirred up the Middle East, to a lot of people wanted to get back. but they made a lot of money. They made a lot of money. I don't know what all the underlying is. I'm not going to pretend. And you're going to say, what does this mean to the body of Christ? Well, each member has a different function. And for me, I feel that this is just right to show you. I lived through this, and that tower did not fall on its own. It didn't. You know, it's not unlike that when you look in that Hawaiian fire. And, oh yeah, so with the tower, we already know that it would take about 1,000 more degrees over jet fuel. You would need something that would burn 1,000 degrees hotter than jet fuel to melt the rebars in that building. So for that building that wasn't caught on fire, that's quite strange, wouldn't you think? Can you imagine that's the Tower of Babel? There is an agenda, and the agenda, it keeps getting passed down. You look at things like the Egyptian pyramids, I have no idea what they're really for, and it doesn't matter. I know Christ, and that's what matters. So let's take a look at this. There's much more for those who are inclined to look. I'm not willing to myself, same here, and I'm satisfied with my own curiosity. Besides, delving any deeper would entail astronomical charts, birth charts, moon cycles, and the like. I don't feel like practicing the occult just to prove a point. That an occult hand was behind the planning of the World Trade Center Pentagon attacks, I'm sure. The Illuminati's speak symbology, not English, just as it had for thousands of years. On 9/11, 2001, the whole world was witness to a classic Illuminati ritual. I believe it. Moreover, the media, you might think I'm crazy, but go over that list again. Do you ever ask yourself, why are they all in Hollywood and politicians making these hand signals? Why are they doing that? It's literally en masse. Moreover, the media, by programming these images over and over again into the psyche of practically every human being on the face of the earth, have succeeded in a sort of electronic black mass in which we were all participants. As an afterthought, or perhaps the biggest clue of them all, considering George W. Bush's birthday equals the master number 33 and whose name equals the master number 11, has ordered that all Flagstaff stay at half-mast through September 22nd, 11 days after the tragedy, thus completing the triangle 11, 22, 33. They're tricky, eh? Oh yes, I almost forgot. As I mentioned before, 9 is left out in the Chaldean numerology. See, they show Pythagorean conversion table. Listen, I don't care about this stuff. Fox. We know what Fox equals. Chaldean conversion table. I try not to get confused with these things. 9 is left out of in the Chaldean numerology because it's considered sacred. Remember the 9 and the 9/11? Well, the number 9 is indeed sacred to the Illuminati. In fact, a whole book could be written on the subject. I'll leave you with this. Weishaupt's Illuminati was considered as sacred undertaking and a major step toward the New World Order. We know a New World Order is here. It's not a secret anymore. It's out in the open. 5/1/1776. So, is that January, February, March? May 1st, 1776. May 1st, 1776. The founding of Weishaupt's Illuminati. 5/1/1776. 27 equals 2 plus 7 equals, listen, I don't know. Do you think, I'm sure they're right. Do you think they're trying to tell us something? And their ultimate aims and in their twisted philosophy of the ends justify the means. Is a 9/11 disaster considered a sacred undertaking in the eyes of these evil men? I also just wanted to add quickly, because I didn't read this, 11 is a bad number to the Jews, the number for the transgressions of the law, rebellion, war, sin, sorcery, martyrdom. Sounds a lot like the events played before the whole world on 9/11. People say a lot of stuff about this. This is Building 7. I would have to look how far away it was, but, you know, people sure raised a lot of stuff about this, especially later on. Let's take a look. Look, it fell straight down. Quickly. Look how big that building is.
The 12th, 2001. What would you have done if you'd been president?
What would I have done?
Yeah.
I would have done a legitimate investigation to find out what exactly happened on 9/11. How did they know who did this so quickly like they did Lee Harvey Oswald? How quick they knew Lee Harvey Oswald killed Kennedy.
Because the people who did it were identified and we knew who they were.
Well, then why couldn't we have stopped them beforehand if they were identified and we knew who they were?
It was a failure of intelligence. Everyone's accepted
No, it
that.
wasn't. We knew before with Condoleezza Rice's memo on August 6th when it stated right in the memo, bin Laden to steal planes and run them into buildings. And more stuff is coming out now also, how much the Bush administration ignored the intelligence. It was almost like they ignored it because they wanted it to happen.
Oh, come off it, Jesse.
No, not oh, come off it. Wait a minute. Every war fought starts with a false flag operation.
You can't, in all seriousness, sit there and try and make out anybody.
Okay, let me ask you this, Piers. Wait a minute.
Wait.
Let me ask you something. How much studying have you actually done of 9/11 other than what the government's told you and what mainstream media has told you? I've been studying it 4 years.
I was editor of a national newspaper.
I've talked to people.
Wait a minute. In depth every day for
Really?
5-6 months.
Really?
So I know a lot about it.
Well,
and one
then
thing
how
I do know is,
let me ask you this
you
then.
cannot say that any member of the Bush administration knew it was going to happen and wanted it to happen. It's a ridiculous thing to say.
Ridiculous. Okay, let's talk about your BBC. I have a tape of a BBC reporter broadcasting directly back to England talking about a third building has collapsed. World Trade Center Building 7 talks for 7 minutes. All the while she's talking, World Trade Center Building 7 is still standing right behind her. It didn't fall for another half hour, yet they were doing a pre-broadcast back to England yes, it's true,
you need to
that
take
this
a break
building
I don't know.
fell and it hadn't fallen yet.
If you're trying to make out the British Broadcasting Company, one of the most respected news organisations in the world, was inventing huge buildings falling over, you need to have a break, Jesse. We'll come back after the break and we'll talk about Israel and Iran.
Are you kidding me?
I just thought I'd look at these things up. One thing's leading to another here for me. Let's see if what he says is true. They all laughed at him, right? Jesse Ventura, remember him in Predator?
New York have been hit by airplanes. In Washington, there is a large fire at the Pentagon. The Pentagon has been evacuated. And there, as you can see, perhaps the second tower, the front tower, the top portion of which is collapsing.
Because everybody, once you have seen Building 7, there is no way back. You can cheat on yourself, and you can try to suppress it, but
Look how far away that is. I would say that building is at least 200 feet away. That's a strong building. Look, this other one over here is just as far away. Remember how tall the World Trade Center is.
But you cannot. You have seen it, and then there's no way back. It's not very healthy, to lie to yourself and say, no, I didn't see that. But many people do, because it's simply too painful.
Now, more on the latest building collapse in New York. You might have heard a few moments ago, I was talking about the Salomon Brothers building collapsing. And indeed it has. It seems that this was not a result of a new attack. It was because the building had been weakened during this morning's attacks. We'll probably find out more now about that from our correspondent, Jane Stanley. Jane, what more can you tell us about the Salomon Brothers building and its collapse?
Well, only really what you already know. Details are very, very sketchy. As you can see behind me, the Trade Center appears to be still burning. We see these huge clouds of smoke and ash, and we know that behind that there's an empty piece of what was a very familiar New York skyline, a symbol of the financial prosperity of this city, but completely disappeared now, and New York is still unable to take on board what has happened to them today.
Presumably there were very few people in the Salomon building when it collapsed. I mean, there were, I suppose, fears of possible further collapses around the area.
Now, I don't know what to make of this, to be honest. I'd have to look further. But they're talking about the Salomon Brothers collapsing, building number 7, and in the back it hasn't gone. So what he's saying is correct. I believe Jesse. Look, it's right here.
That's what you would hope, because they don't really know where to turn. That's the very sad thing. I think there's going to be a lot of very, very traumatized people that has hit them very, very hard.
Jane, I think many of us, when we heard the news, perhaps on the radio earlier today, were completely flabbergasted by it and just couldn't comprehend it. I mean, it almost sounded too far-fetched. I was wondering what it's felt like for you being in Manhattan. Well, unfortunately, I think we've lost the line with Jane Stanley in Manhattan.
Now, here we're going to show you a videotape of the collapse itself. Describe that. Now we go to videotape, the collapse of this building. Amazing, incredible picture word.
Too far-fetched.
For the third time today, it's reminiscent of those pictures we've all seen too much on television before, when a building was delivered.
I agree that, listen, it takes a fire of 3,000 degrees. That thing was not on fire. What weakened it? They're going to say the underground? I don't think so. Not that far away. You know what? Those buildings are meant to take... Twin Towers were meant to take a plane. Do you know that? They were. And look, it didn't fall, right? So it was designed that way. The other one, maybe not. But, pretty tough. Pretty tough.
It is still destroyed by well-placed dynamite to knock it down.
See what you see and not what you're supposed to see.
I would finish off by saying this. What I said in the beginning. Are you willing to accept that it happened? That all this is true? I am. And you know what? Some of the best pastors that have good churches believe the same thing. And for me, it's not about, it is about hearing what other people are saying too. But I have my own discernment. And I was 23 years old when it happened. I remember seeing it, being like, how did that collapse? Yeah, I remember. So if that's true at the BBC, and they did that by mistake, I don't know. Sometimes, if not most times, they want us to know something.